Hello, and welcome to the overview video for Competency for Personalized Learning in the Promoting Equity with Technology course. You will understand the following major concepts: personalized learning as an overview with the subcomponents UDL, differentiated instruction strategies, multicultural content, and culturally responsive teaching strategies. So, first one, UDL, Universal Design for Learning. UDL guides the design of learning experience to proactively meet the needs of all learners. When you use UDL, you assume that barriers to learning are the design of the environment and not the student. It kind of flips the idea on its head. UDL is based on brain science and evidence-based educational practices, and it also leverages the power of digital technology. Again, doesn't focus on digital technology, but leverages the power of such. The ultimate goal of UDL is for all learners to become expert learners. The expert learners are purposeful and motivated, resourceful and knowledgeable, and strategic and goal-directed about learning. Again, we talked about in a previous module about the idea of banking versus libertarian focus of learning, and how we want to have the student be the center of it and focusing on how they become agencies in their own right, in their own learning. UDL helps with that. There are these kind of ideologies around it. It talks about it is manifest in multiple means of engagement, stimulates motivation and sustained enthusiasm for learning by promoting various ways of engaging with the material, multiple means of representation, present information and content in a variety of ways to support understanding by students with different learning styles and abilities. Multiple means of action expression offer options for students to demonstrate their learning in various ways. For example, allow choice of assessment type. These are kind of the three major tenets of UDL. Our next concept is differentiated instruction strategies. It has three key elements. Differentiated instruction is based on the modification of four elements: content, process, product, and affect learning environment. This modification is guided by the teacher's interest of students' needs and the student's readiness, interest, and learning profile. The goal of differentiated instruction strategies to ensure that all students are engaged in the learning process by providing tasks that match each individual's needs. The teachers differentiate instruction through a variety of ways. For example, flexible grouping, learning centers, and independent studies, just to name a few. This is a graphic that kind of shows differentiation is valuing planning for diversity, heterogeneous grouping, use of whole group, small group, and individual tasks based on content and student needs, not necessarily what's convenient for us as educators, purposeful use of flexible grouping, student-focused ways of thinking about teaching and learning. It is not dumbing down incompatible standards, tracking or grouping students in class by ability, something extra on the top of good teaching. So there are some very clear do's and don'ts related to differentiated instruction. Multicultural content, our next concept. Multicultural education refers to any form or education or teaching that incorporates the histories, text, values, beliefs, and perspectives of people from different cultural backgrounds. At a classroom level, for example, teachers may modify or incorporate lessons to reflect the cultural diversity of students in a particular class. In many cases, culture is defined in the broadest possible sense, encompassing race, ethnicity, nationality, language, religion, class, gender, sexual orientation, and exceptionality, a term applied to students with special needs or disabilities. We see multicultural education, which was a term coined by Dr. Banks has these 5 major concepts. Knowledge construction. Teachers help students understand, investigate, and determine how implicit cultural assumptions, frame of reference, and perspectives and biases within a discipline influence the ways knowledge is constructed. Prejudice reduction. This dimension focuses on the characteristics of students' racial attitudes and how they can be modified by teaching methods and materials. Empowering school culture, grouping and labeling practices such as sports participation, disproportionality achievement, and the integration of staff and the students across the ethnic and racial lines are examined to create a school culture that empowers students from diverse ethnic and gender groups. Equity pedagogy. And equity pedagogy exists when teachers modify their teaching in ways that will facilitate academic achievement of students from diverse and cultural, gender, and social class backgrounds. And lastly, content integration. So that's this one element, right, of multicultural education. Content integration deals with the extent to which teachers use examples and content from a variety of cultures in their teaching. So many people feel like multicultural education is just focusing on having a Black History Month, for instance, or a Native American History Month, or Cinco de Mayo Day or something. But really it focuses on addressing, and at least in part, some of the systematic ideologies that are evident in education in general. Before you even get to the content, the curriculum, how is knowledge construction? How are we thinking about prejudice reduction? And what is the school culture, and what is the pedagogy really of what is being taught? Not only the content, but the instruction as well. All of these things are functions of multicultural education. Goals of multicultural education are focusing on creating a safe and accepting successful environment for all, increasing awareness of global issues, strengthening cultural consciousness, strengthening intercultural awareness, teaching students that there are multiple historical perspectives, not just one, encouraging critical thinking, and preventing prejudice and discrimination, again, by examining and doing some of the work around these things in this previous slide. Our next concept, culturally responsive teaching strategy. Culturally responsive teaching is an ideology that was formed by Dr. Gloria Ladson-Billings, and her definition is, it is an approach that empowers students intellectually, socially, emotionally, and politically by using cultural reference to impart knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Thus saying that if we are teachers in an environment, be it an adult environment or a K-12 environment, that we have to be attending to all of the aspects of our students. How are they showing up, experiencing the world intellectually, socially, emotionally, and politically? How do we take their experiences and use and build upon those particular cultural references, those experiences, to create knowledge and to make meaning? How do we combine who the students are with what we are teaching to get the best, most possible result? Practices of culturally responsive teaching, it focuses on identity and achievement. Culturally responsive teachers transform education from traditional ways and include experiencing and strengths of students. Culturally, they focus on identity development and cultural heritage. They talk about equity and excellence. They facilitate learning through encouragement that empowers students, teacher dispositions of inclusiveness, developmental appropriateness. Culturally responsive teachers, you engage in multiple teaching and learning styles through scaffolding and communications. They focus on learning and teaching styles, teaching the whole child. They extend learning beyond the confines of the standardized curriculum to resources that reflect their students, thus bridging the gap between home and school and community. Evidence of this is in cultural skill development and cultural context and bridging home, school, and community. Student-teacher relationships, they focus on the well-being of the student and the school, but also empowers them to achieve in the outside world. They are caring teachers, empowering students. Combining a view of what multicultural is, multicultural education, and culturally responsive pedagogy. Multicultural education focuses on celebrating diversity. Culturally responsive pedagogy focuses on improving students' capacity from diverse focuses on improving the learning capacity of diverse students who have been marginalized educationally. It centers around creating positive social interactions across differences. This centers around effective and cognitive aspects of learning and teaching. Multicultural education concerns itself with exposing privileged students to diverse literature, multiple perspectives, and inclusion in curriculum, as well as to help students of color see themselves reflected. Culturally responsive pedagogy concerns itself with building resilience, and academic mindset by pushing back the dominant narratives about people of color. So this is to say that this is not bad, that multicultural education is not bad. It just doesn't, it kind of starts you on the journey. And culture responsive pedagogy takes it further. It politicizes in many ways what the students need and takes them to a different level of, like we talked about before, digital agency, educational agency to inform their life and their success going forward. A quote, personalized learning is considering the interests of your students, giving them a choice in their learning, and meeting them where they're at academically and personally. William Roberts was a principal.